Episode 6 of Lazarus Project Season 2 starts with us on the 1st July 2012. Shiv discusses a dream he's been having in therapy. He also points out his love for Janet, but he's not sure it would work, believing that she's better than him. Robin speaks to Wes and points out that they might have found someone who can break through the checkpoints and create true time travel, that being Dark Gray, of course. Shiv, though, is who we follow here, and specifically as he notices the plane and issues in airspace. This catches us up to Episode 4, where we see things back from those inside the plane's perspective once more. The Dane is shot, but we continue to follow Shiv for now. He gives a password and makes it on board the plane, where he finds the blood spatter on the floor and a soldier bundled in the locker. This is Eric Erickson, the Dane, and Shiv is tasked with tracking down who else was inside the plane. The 2012 Shiv, that is. He shows up to see Janet, but notices her with Rebrov, and he decides not to let his true feelings be known. Wes catches wind of what's happening, and believes the plane is from the future, and that this time machine has been created. They're not going to the safe house, but instead, to George Folks' place. They're out of town after a big row, so they shouldn't be disturbed. Whilst there, Rebrov and Archie discuss the logistics and the morality around what they're doing in the past. The latter doesn't believe they have the right to undo anything that's been happening, beyond righting the wrongs and pulling Janet back to the present. After a big meal together, which feels like a Last Supper to be honest, George finds Samson asleep on the sofa. As for Sarah, she shows up to see George in the latter's room, and the pair connect and begin kissing. Shiv is called in with Greta as they pick something up on the cameras. Specifically, Rebrov leading his team of people into a van and off to George's place. All their vans have trackers on them, so Shiv decides to investigate. Given he catches Dennis' face on one of the cameras, he decides to bring Rebrov off with him on this detail. As for George and the others, they're intending to crash Operation Midnight and save Janet and Becky before it's too late. However, they're unaware that Rebrov and Shiv are outside. In fact, Shiv shows off the CCTV footage and believes that the guy inside the house is, in fact, Rebrov himself. While Operation Midnight goes ahead, our Rebrov is killed by 2012 Rebrov when they catch wind of one another in the window. As a fire breaks out in the lab, earlier than expected, there are casualties on both sides. Essentially, everyone but a handful of people are killed in this gunfight. Bryson, of all people, is the one to help get George, Dr. Samson, and Sarah at the house, and away from Shiv and a half-conscious Rebrov, the 2012 one, outside. Phew. Unfortunately, Bryson has been shot, and so as they race to the lab, it may already be too late. In fact, in a shocking turn of events, Bryson passes away, but just as he does, confirms his true name, Bryson Wesley. Now it starts to make sense why Bryson dislikes George so much. George intends to use a younger Bryson as leverage to make Wes turn back time to save everyone who has died so far. Before they reach that point, Shiv breaks the bad news to Janet about Rebrov, and then says the same thing to Ross too. However, he's not happy with the deal to kill everyone in cold blood. Shiv shows Ross the picture of Rebrov, and in return, Ross points out there was a second Janet in the lab. As Shiv starts to understand what's happening, we jump back once more to July 2012. Wes restarts the clock and claims that everything is under control when Shiv confronts her about it. This time, though, Shiv speaks to the others over what he knows regarding the crashed plane. But he's not going to be there. Given another choice, he decides to head to the hospital, where he's supposed to be to see his mom. When the plane crash lands, the 2012 Lazarus Project team are here to greet them. The episode review. The second half of this season has been really fascinating, albeit slightly confusing at times. Seeing the 2012 team grappling with what's happening and now, seemingly about to take out our protagonists, sets everything up for a very dramatic and intriguing final few episodes. It's clear that George's plan to use a young Bryson as bait works, and with the timer reset, it all comes down to this fight for 2012 and saving the future. Whether our protagonist will make it out of this in one piece, or not is anyone's guess.